First of all, good morning. I'm very excited to see so many people here for the first, but not for sure the last, Innovation Summit. I have the wonderful privilege of launching our conversation this morning, or launching our investigation for today. And while I'm not going to be nearly as exciting as these people who are going to come after me and tell you about the wonderful things that they're doing, I'm going to try and set a stage for our conversations today, for our exploration today, and hopefully for our ongoing thinking about social entrepreneurship. What they often say is, those who can do and those who can't teach. And those of us who do, can't, and teach like to study these phenomena and try to figure out what's going on. So, I'm going to talk a little bit this morning about social entrepreneurship, and what is it, and what is a social entrepreneur. And so I just randomly selected 3 people that some people might agree are social entrepreneurs, because this is often what we do. As phenomenologists, what we do is we go out and we look for the phenomenon in the field, and say, what's this all about, and what can we say that's systematic, or what can we say that's paradigmatic about what's going on here, and then it can just help us to better understand, without trying to constrain too much what's going on, stuff that's happening in the field. So I have Patty Bletcher, Dorothy Stoneman, and Victoria Hale. They're all real people. You see their pictures here. Each doing different things. So we have Patty in South Africa, who's doing work in the area of education, post-secondary education, and really trying to transform the model of providing post-secondary education to young people in South Africa. We have Dorothy Stoneman, part of Youth Build, the founder of Youth Build, who's very much thinking about how do we increase youth civic engagement in society, youth involvement in society, and how do we also think about the big problem of homelessness. And we have Victoria Hale, doing something somewhat different, where she's taking these skills that she's developed or acquired as a chemist, her knowledge of the FDA, and really looking at diseases that are very much not receiving much attention, because they tend to be predominant in those parts of the world that are very much depressed, those poor, developing parts of the world. So how can she somehow bring change? So I look at these 3 people, and I say to myself, okay, what can I learn from them? What is social entrepreneurship, and what is a social entrepreneur? What are these people doing? What are they getting up to? What is it that they want to do? What is it that they're bringing to the table? And how are they leveraging what they bring to the table? And probably most fundamentally or importantly, what is their core value proposition? What's motivating them to take on these challenges? And how do they justify what it is that they're doing? Because at the end of the day, as we can see from all 3, they're not there on their own. They've been able to mobilize or engage other people around these ideas. So how is it that they're motivating these people? Tons of different definitions, all great people talking about what is social entrepreneurship, about these people with ideas. And we see the word change coming up again and again and again, and then this concept of social value creation, transformation, value creation, change, change, change. So I'm starting to get in my head, okay, there's something here about change. But if we really try to boil it down to its fundamental components, and I'll draw from Martin and Arsberg here, I think there are 3 key elements that I keep coming back to again and again and again. The first is somehow they're identifying, if you will, the opportunity. And often what motivates it is some sort of sense that there's this unjust equilibrium. It's leading a group of people to be excluded, leading a group of people to be marginalized, causing suffering among a particular segment of humanity. And often this group of people, either they lack the financial means or resources to address the inequity, or sometimes they also lack the access to political clout in order to be able to change the situation. So number 1 component, there is a condition. It's a social condition. Number 2, figuring out how we're going to respond to this inequity, how we're going to respond to this marginalization. And I think when we're going to talk a lot about innovation, one of the things I'm going to encourage you to do as you listen to the people who are going to talk today, really be paying attention to what is the innovation. Because this, to me, is where the social entrepreneurship really gets exciting and interesting. And how is it that they come up with these ideas to leverage all different sorts of resources, people, in order to try and come up with an innovative, often never thought of before, solution that brings people together, that brings resources together in order to bring about this change, and often to challenge the direction that we're heading. So, number 2 is how do we come up with these innovative ideas? Where do these different resources get mobilized from? How do we really come up with a new way of doing things? And finally, how do we make it sustainable? How do we make it so that it goes on and on and on, if you will, kind of in social science parlance, how do we make sure that maybe a new equilibrium becomes established? And how are they able to do this? How are they able to ensure that over time we adopt this new way, and hopefully we bring benefit to society, we can change the society in a very positive way? So we think about those 3 components. One thing as well as I study these social entrepreneurs, it becomes clear to me what it's not. And I'm going to see in my little chart here. I really put social entrepreneurship up here in this top corner. It's not about taking an existing system and improving it slightly. So I don't think it's about like going to the public school system and saying, okay, we're going to put new books into the public school system. Well, that's important. And if people want to spend their time there, I think that's fabulous. But that's not what I think of when I think of social entrepreneurship, nor social activism. And here often we mobilize a movement, we try to put pressure on other organizations to then do things. And I don't think that that's social entrepreneurship either. I think it resides in this top right-hand corner, where we're really talking about trying to create and sustain a new equilibrium, a new way of doing things, but impacting the problem, the issue, the challenge directly. So really thinking that we're going to operate up, and I'm open to you disagreeing with me, but I think that that's where the power of social entrepreneurship lies. So if we know in general what the phenomenon is, then who are these people? Who are these people you're going to meet this morning? And so here's some ideas that I'm going to share with you about who these people. This notion of change agent, and we hear it all the time. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean? They're clearly people who are scanning the environment all the time, looking for these inequities. What I think is really cool is their ability to borrow ideas from other disciplines, borrow ideas from other areas. We would never maybe have seen them be applied before. Taking ideas from chemistry, taking ideas from the physical sciences and trying to figure out how they might apply them to social problems, for example. And pulling these things from one part of society and applying them to an area where they have never been applied before. Challenging the status quo, not accepting that this is the way that things need to be done. And I think that I see this, for example, here at the college. Rather than students waiting for our very, is anyone here from the administration? Our kind of very bureaucratic hierarchy to do things, students are taking it upon themselves to make it happen. And I think that that's what it's really all about. Things where traditionally we wait for the dean, the president, nothing happens. So let's try to do things in a different way, and maybe by doing that, we introduce a whole new process. We introduce a whole new paradigm. We introduce a whole new, I want to be careful using the word status quo, but at least a whole new way that becomes accepted for doing things. So we talk a lot about, again, looking at the literature and how what people have written about. I think what's important here is these shifts. These people, what is an entrepreneur? Someone who's looking for shifts, someone who's looking to bring about shifts, to revolutionize, to change production, to exploit, to search, the pursuit of opportunity. These people really embody this. This is what they live for. This is what they love to do. So we see these people looking for a new equilibrium, a new satisfaction, as I like to think about it, a new way of creating demand, a new way of understanding what is important in society. And this I love. Upsetting and disorganizing. This is exactly what we need. We need to break out of our traditional paradigms and adopt new paradigms. And we need to think about this. This is Drucker's idea, old, like creative destruction. Let's get out of the old way of thinking about how, for example, we deliver social services, how it is that we think about post-secondary education, how it is that we think about delivering healthcare. It's only by exploding our existing paradigms that we're going to be able to address these social challenges, these social problems, these social opportunities, I like to think of them, in a meaningful and sustainable way. So, the theory of entrepreneurship is a theory that posits that the major task in society is doing something different, rather than doing better what is already being done. This is my idea before. We really want to be up in that right quadrant. The entrepreneur always searches for change, responds to it, and exploits it, as an opportunity. A number of different things that we see. So when we're talking about entrepreneurship, why does it seem so risky? Often it seems so risky because entrepreneurs don't know what they're doing. They don't really know how it's all, but they seem to be comfortable living in the world of ambiguity. They seem to be comfortable living in the world of ambiguity. And although what they're doing is working in this world of ambiguity, they're still very much looking at this notion of what I call purposeful innovation. Innovation, which we're going to talk a lot about, we'll explore it through the context of this conference today. And where is it coming from? And it's not just, often we think about innovation, we think about it as a technology, but it's not that. I think in the context of social problems, the innovation really is coming from doing things differently. It's coming from changing the way that we supply resources, the way that we provide different services to people. It's also changing the way that people come to understand how those services are received. And I'm going to talk in a moment about, I think, this major paradigm shift that's going on. So when we're talking about these changes, we're really talking about this change in mindset. Traditionally, when we've been addressing these social issues or these social problems, we've talked very much about this charitable sort of idea. And I really do believe in this world of social entrepreneurship, we're changing this fundamentally. And so what we're doing now is not just rich people going out and giving money and helping poor people. I think that paradigm is a paradigm of 10 years ago. I think the new paradigm is very much about empowering people and giving people the resources and the tools they need. There's a very interesting organization that I became aware of here in Massachusetts called Commonwealth Seminar. We're going to communities within the city of Boston right now, communities of newly arrived immigrants, communities of people who have traditionally been disenfranchised from the political process, and teaching them how to access the government in order to be able to bring about change within their own communities, whether it's cleaning up a park or improving the public education system within a particular neighborhood. But it's very important, but we're teaching people how to take control. We're empowering people. And I think that's the really exciting thing about social entrepreneurship. It really is about helping people to take some responsibility for improving their own lives. It's really about this new paradigm. It's this new paradigm of change from these people who are really fantastic, living in the world of ambiguity, taking ideas, it doesn't matter. Maybe I'm not a chemist, but I'm going to go there. I'm going to see what I can learn. Maybe I'm not a physicist, but I'm going to go there. Maybe I'm not an anthropologist, but I'm going to go there. Maybe I have no idea at all about finance, but I'm going to go there. Maybe there's a solution that I can take from there and bring it somewhere else. These people are comfortable in this world of ambiguity. They're comfortable searching for these ideas, all different places within society, and they're trying to bring them to bear, I think, on some of the most important social problems. But in doing so, they're not doing it alone. They're trying to empower the people who are members of the communities that they're trying to serve in a way that enriches and empowers those people to be able to respond to and achieve a new reality. So with that, what I'm going to invite you to do, you don't have to buy anything that I have said, but what I've tried to do is lay a little bit of a foundation for how we might think about what is social entrepreneurship, what is a social entrepreneur, and this notion, very, very, very brief in the 15 minutes I've had, of innovation. And how do we think about innovation in this particular context? And who are the people who seem to be most comfortable dealing with innovation? So with that, we're almost done. Good job. Thank you.